Hello, everyone. So, we are already moving on to our third quarter. And in the third quarter, we are going to cover methods of delivery. What is methods of delivery? It refers to the style of delivery, and these methods are manuscript, memorized, impromptu, and extemporaneous. What are our objectives? First, you have to differentiate among the four methods of speech delivery. Now, we have to learn first what are the four methods of speech delivery, know their definition, and after knowing the definition, that's the time that we can differentiate them according to their use. And how are you going to do that? I have prepared quiz number three. It's just a 10-item quiz that you are going to answer. It's multiple choice, so it's easier for you. And then the second objective is to understand when to use each of the four methods of speech delivery. Let's say you are in a situation, and it depends actually on. So for objective number two, you just understand when to use each of the four methods of speech delivery, depending on the speech that you would like to deliver. The third one is perform one of the speech delivery. It's not just important that you know these things theoretically, it's also important that you'd be able to apply apply what you know practically. So it's not just important for you to know these things theoretically, it's also important that you put what you know into practice. That's why it's important that you also perform one of the speech delivery. So you'll be asked to create a project about delivering a speech. So the first method of delivery is impromptu speaking. It involves delivering a message on the spur of the moment, as when someone is asked to say a few words. For example, you are in a wedding of your friend, and the host would would call on you and would ask you, "Do you have a message to the newly wed couple?" Then the host would immediately give you the microphone. That's an example of an impromptu speaking, wherein you would not be given time to prepare of what you're going to say. Or sometimes you will be given, but with very little time, maybe a matter of second or most a matter of minutes. In impromptu speaking, you may be guided by the nature of the occasion, as it is speaking with very little preparation. So you might find yourself being asked to react to a certain issue or to a preceding talk or simply to participate in the commemorating an event. These are the different types of table top or impromptu. In Toastmasters, we call it table topics. First is asking for your opinion. So it's opinionated. Second is situational. So there are some situations in life where you have to explain what you're going to do. Third is personal. This has something to do with your own life, or it could be your friends, your family. Number four is stupid questions, like they're gonna ask you, "Would you rather be a drop of water or a dust in the wind?" So those are stupid questions. Number five, quotes. You'll be given a quote, let's say time is gold. And then you're going to explain how you see that quote, how you understand it. And the number six, questions. This is the easiest table topic because you will just be thrown a question and you just have to answer that. Now, as you crystallize your ideas in mind, you should be able to develop these to give them the quality of order. But unless you are very familiar with the topic, this method may be challenging. So, first, formulate the central idea. Your central idea must not be branching out. Let's say the question is, what is your favorite animal? Even if you like dogs, you like cats, birds, dolphins, you only have to concentrate on one idea. Just simply say, my favorite animal is a dog. Okay? And then limit yourself to a specific aspect which you can discuss in a very few minutes. Remember that in impromptu speaking, you will only be given 3 to 5 minutes. But 3 to 5 minutes is already long. Be sure you know the idea that you want to present before you start. You already have something in mind that you're going to concentrate on. Dogs, if dogs. Okay? And then open your talk with a sentence that says something. Do not be apologetic if you feel nervous. Begin a bang and go straight to the point. It's essential that you immediately say all the important things that you're going to say instead of being apologetic or saying anything that's not necessary, because again, you only have limited time, and the only thing that you need to say are the essential ones. Letter C, the body of your speech must be unified. You can give examples, illustrations, comparison, and contrast to explain your key sentence. Be concrete and specific as possible. So, let's say you mentioned that you like dogs. You also have to provide an explanation why you like dogs or what kind of dogs. I like aspens. And why do you like aspens? I like aspens because they are cute, lovable, and loyal. And then there must be a sequence that makes it cohesive to one another. So when you mentioned all those three reasons why you love aspens, then you share a story that can concretize your central idea. Let's say one time I was feeling down and low and I went back home. I feel really sad, but when my aspen, whose name is Brownie, welcomed me with a wagging tail, it really made my day. He knew that I am having problems, and he comforted me by licking my face. And then afterwards, after sharing that story, give us the takeaway. Or is there something that you would like to impart to your audience or listeners? Takeaway or a lesson or something like a call to action, maybe like taking good care of your dogs because they are lovable, because they are man's best friend, and they deserve to be given all the love that we can give them. Then letter D, conclude on a strong note. Concluding on a strong note is saying or repeating your key sentence, summarizing, or saying something that will leave your audience um, thinking or wondering, or that will linger. The idea should linger to your audience, like a lesson or a takeaway. The second one is extemporaneous speaking. It consists of delivering a speech in a conversational fashion using notes. This is the style most speeches call for. So, in extemporaneous speech, this one is kind of prepared in advance but delivered spontaneously. Extempore means growing out of time. This one is somehow and always been mistaken with impromptu speaking. But there are differences. In extemporaneous speaking, you can use brief notes to jog your memory, but the note should never cover on the ideas and information that you're going to tell your audience, not the words which will express them. So you have your outline there. You're just going to read the outline one by one and then explain them one by one as well. So you can plan and organize for extemporaneous speaking. And you will be given 5 minutes to 30 minutes of preparation for extemporaneous. Unlike impromptu, you're only given like seconds or 1 minute to think of what you're going to say. But for this one, this is really spontaneous. It's like doing it in a conversational fashion. So the difference, impromptu speeches have absolutely no time to prepare, but extemporaneous speeches have anywhere from a short period of time, like 5 to 30 minutes, but 5 minutes is already a long time in order for you to conceptualize what you're going to say. That's why extemporaneous is easier. But there are moments wherein extemporaneous can be longer than 5 minutes, 3 minutes or 5 minutes, because you have time to prepare. Where and you can also Google it. Google the idea of a speech. According to John Helsing, he gave some pointers for an extemporaneous speaker. A, prepare the context thoroughly. Next is organize the content into a full sentence outline. So you create an outline using sentences. Then form the full sentence outline by extracting the keywords to shorten the full sentences. So all you just need to do is to include there just the important words or keywords that will help you remember what your topic is all about. Letter D, place the words or short phrase outline on the side of the card. So you're just going to hold the card in your hand as you rehearse your speech. And then find few fresh language for each idea. Do not be redundant. Let's say you are going to use the word happy instead of continuously or keeping on repeating the word happy, you can use synonymous words to happy like glad, blissful, joyful, because you don't want to bore your audience by repeating the same words. And it would be better if you could use an alternative. Now, if the speech is short, strive your best to eliminate or get rid of your copy, your notes as quickly as you can, because that can lessen your confidence in what you're going to say, and also your audience might think that you are not that knowledgeable enough if you keep on looking up and down to your notes. But that doesn't mean that having notes is definitely bad, but it would be better if you can get rid of it. Okay. The third one is manuscript speaking. It consists of reading a fully scripted speech. It is useful when a message needs to be delivered in precise words. Now, what are the instances wherein you need to do this manuscript speaking? This is you're going to use this when the wording should be planned very carefully, as it should be appropriate for a solemn and historic occasion with a big audience, wherein you need to read the words accurately. And then there are some downside with this speech. This kind of deliver lacks naturalness and spontaneity, and may even result from a tendency to write a speech without any audience adaptation. You cannot adjust to whatever and however your audience would react to your announcement. Now, example of a method or manuscript speaking is when you are reading a proclamation paper, public announcement, or court decision, wherein it's very important for you to mention it or read it word per word for accuracy and formality. Then, reading from a manuscript also rubs rapport with the audience, who sometimes suspects that the speaker is reading someone else's words. Sometimes, if you're just reading from a manuscript, then there is no eye contact. That's why it's important that from time to time you look at your manuscript and then look at the audience. Now, here is what they say when reading a manuscript. it should be typewritten. Now, the benefit of reading a typewritten manuscript is it's easier for you to read. Also, you can adjust before printing it out. You can adjust the font size, the font type, or the font style. And then, if you are having difficulty in pronouncing some of the unfamiliar words or difficult words that are really hard to pronounce, you can use phonetic spelling, accent marks, or IPA symbols to help you and be guided with the pronunciation. You can also add marks where you could slow down or speed up to make sure that the last sentence on each page is completed on that page to assure no unintended pauses. It's important kasi that you also make a pause. If there's a period, you have to stop. If there's a comma, you have to pause. Because if you don't do that, then there is a tendency that your listeners might misinterpret you and they would have a hard time understanding you. That's the reason of the periods and the commas. Double check that there will, in fact, be a lectern or a lectern or speaker stand upon which the manuscript can be placed. I don't know if you've seen a lectern, but definitely you have seen one. It is where it's a it's a tall. It looks like a table, and it's tall, and that is used to it's used to adjust to the height of the person reading a manuscript. That's where a speaker places the manuscript. The fourth one is the memorized speech, which consists of reciting a scripted speech from memory. Memorization allows the speaker to be free of notes. Don't There's no need for you to use notes because everything that you're going to say is already in your mind. And the downside of this one is you will not be given a chance to adapt your speech to an expected audience reaction. Let's say there is a sign of disapproval from one of your audience, but you cannot just simply adapt or address that kind of reaction from your audience because you're using a memorized speech. And if you do that, that's not part of the speech anymore. And also, there is a tendency that you might forget your next lines. So, that is the downside of memorized speech. But the good side of doing memorized speech is there's no need for you to hold notes, and it's continuous. There's no need for you to think of what you're going to say next. Only just have to be conscious that you really memorize the speech. Now, for the speaker's voice, it's important that you know these things. For the volume, the volume of your voice should not be too high, not too low. It should just be in the middle. Modulate your voice. And then the pitch. There are pitch where for female, usually they're high pitched, like "Ah!" Yeah. And then for the males, they are low pitch. But you just have to modulate it. Because sometimes if the speaker is high pitched, it can hurt the ears of the audience and they might get turned off. Third is the rate. This is the speed. If you are speaking too fast, you're not giving a chance to your audience to process what you are saying. So you make sure that if you speak fast, your audience are already knowledgeable and has already a background knowledge with the topic. But if your audience are not quite familiar yet with the topic, you have to adjust the speed and speak slowly in order for them to understand and process what you are saying. Then for the vocal variety, if you are doing a monologue speech, and you are imitating one, there is a dialogue, even if it's a monologue. You must give a variety of voice. Let's say you are imitating an old lady or imitating a young child, then your voice must sound like a young child. If you're imitating an old man, then your voice must sound like an old man's voice. Next is pronunciation. If you're having a difficulty pronouncing words, your audience might misunderstand or what you're trying to say. That always happens to me. If I hear mispronounced words, sometimes I think that I just heard that word from that person. It's quite a new word for me, or I am giving it a wrong interpretation. So those are the downsides of pronouncing or mispronouncing the words. Next is articulation. This is how good you are in expressing your thoughts. There are moments wherein it's hard to express how we feel. Now, if you are an articulate person, it's quite easy for you to express what you have in mind through language. And then dialect is the language that you use in expressing your ideas. So you must be good in Filipino, English, or other dialects if you are presenting using that kind of dialect. Then for nonverbal communication, it's important that your posture shows confidence. You must exude confidence and everything will follow. Do not hunch, wherein your shoulders are raised and you're leaning forward. That looks like you are not confident with what you're going to say. So that lessens your your points actually. Then, if you're happy in your speech, if you're sad, your facial expression should reflect it. Your gestures, your eye contact, it's very important. Now, for personal appearance, if you are doing a formal speech, you should wear a formal attire, something with collar. You must wear pants. You must look fresh and neat. Now, for body actions, gestures, and eye contact, make sure that you have them. Your hands must be free when you deliver a speech. Do not put them inside your pocket. Do not put them behind you. Just let them move freely because audience would find you more credible and more trustworthy if your hands are open in their point of eyesight. And then also, I would like to include do not exaggerate your hands. Just use it whenever necessary. Now, you have to practice for your delivery. You're going to deliver a speech in front of the public. You must record yourself. You have your cell phones. Then you would be able to see through the recording the things that you needed to rectify or modify, to change, because this will tremendously help you. If you're not able to record yourself and you did not see the flaws or the things that you needed to change, then your errors and mistakes will be fossilized and you will bring it up until when you were already on top of the stage. Now, these are the ways to effectively communicate. You must read pages 13 to 14, and then the coverage of the pre-finals is from pages 30 to 41. Please read them. And then we have here impromptu table topics. I have here tips for table topics. Please click the link as well so that you will be guided. Now, for our table topics, if you want to practice, I would like you to please click this link here. There is a link here, and there are table topic questions that you could choose from. You can answer one of them. Now in table topics, you can do these following methods: the cause effect remedy, point reason example point, story message gain, past present future, compare and contrast. So the story message gain is the most popular one amongst the Toastmasters if they are answering a question or if they're given a quote to explain. Okay, so just click the links here. We have table topics tips here. Now, in writing your speech, make sure that you have a story. Without the story, then the speech will not become wonderful. And aside from that, people are excited. They're interested to hear about a story, about a wonderful story that they could learn something from or that would amuse them. So in speech writing, it's important for you to include a story or an anecdote of your life in a situation where you've been, and then make sure that everyone can relate to your message because if they can relate to it, it's easier for them to appreciate your thoughts. And then you must also add supporting pieces of evidence. Do not just state claims or your opinions that you cannot back up. It would be much better if you can support them. And then after completing your plans, search for a powerful beginning. It can be a quote, and you can also refer to pages 34 to 40. There are a lot of ways to think of a powerful beginning and think of a powerful conclusion as well. You have to tie them up, connect them to the central idea, and a good conducting statement shall leave lingering thoughts to the audience. The shorter, the better. And prepare for your delivery. How would you prepare? You have to practice. Film yourself. Now, here's the project for finals. You only have to choose one. It's either you do a video podcast, proposal, speech, debate, online meeting. Now, for video podcast, you have you can do it for 5 to 10 minutes. It can be individual or by group. If you're gonna do it by group, maximum of 4 members. And then for video podcast, the reason why I ask it to be a video podcast instead of just a podcast is because I would like to see everyone. I would like to see you speaking in the video. No voiceovers. This is just your training or practice in public speaking. Make sure that you will not be ashamed or you will not be shy to present this in public. Okay, and then for video podcast, there are tips. There are links here on how you can create a video podcast, and you have to upload it either on Spreaker, Buzzsprout, but I would suggest that you may also upload it on YouTube because it's a video podcast. 5 to 10 minutes should suffice. You can interview someone or you can discuss about a certain topic. Okay. And for video podcast, you can write down the things that you're going to say if you're really not that confident yet. Because in my first podcast, I wrote the things that I'm going to say because I'm not yet sure of the topic that I'm going to discuss. So I prefer to write it down. And then the second one is proposal. This one should be good for 10 minutes. This can be individual or by group, max of 4 members. Now, for the proposal, this can be any kind of proposal. It can be your thesis proposal, or if you have a project that you have in mind that you would like to propose. Okay, so in your proposal, you can also include the tree planting. You must include here the time and then the budget that you will. So you must include here the time and the budget Also, the benefits of the project that you are proposing. Remember, this should be 10 minutes. And then everyone, if this is by group, everyone should be able to speak. Then the third choice or option is speech. It should last for 5 to 7 minutes. This can be individual or by group, max of 4 members. If it's max of 4 members, it must be a speech choir. Okay. And then again, you have to write down the speech. You can read it or memorize it as long as there are gestures. And then for speech, mm, yeah, you have to record yourself. Then number four, by the way, with regard to the speech, you have to think of a certain topic, a situation in your life that you would like to share. And then in this speech, you must be able to make it meaningful. The content must be meaningful, and the purpose is, are you trying to entertain us? Are you trying to convince us? Or are you just trying to inform us? So you must choose which of those purposes you would like to share with your audience. And then number four, debates. This one requires a lot of research. Okay, so max of 4 members. There's no time limit here. It depends on how long you want it. And then number five, online meeting. Of course, this should be by group because you cannot meet yourself alone. It should last 5 to 10 minutes, maximum of 4 members. Now you have to upload it on YouTube in a landscape orientation. Why landscape orientation? Because it covers the entire screen, especially on YouTube. Now for video podcast, we have here the tips on how you can create one. Now, how will you be scored? Gestures should be 5 points. Eye contact and body movements are present. For vocal variety, if there's rising and falling of the intonation, the pitch, the volume, and all, then that's the 5 points. Originality, 5 points for the content. It must not be plagiarized and must not be copied from the internet. It should be authentically coming from you. Then the purpose. Is the purpose clear? Is it understandable if you just want to convince us, entertain us, or inform us? Next is the content. So there must be organization in your content. The message should be clear, unified, and meaningful. There must be something that your audience can get something from, like a takeaway. We call that a takeaway, the lesson of the story. And technicalities, clarity of voice, lighting, the background, and including the background music. Sometimes there are students who submit wherein the background music is louder than their voice. So please be careful in checking those concerns with regard to the sound and the lighting and the background. So that's 30 over 30, 30 points. It may sound like a small chunk of your grade, but it's not. This one is for finals. And this would not make you get away if you would only answer the final exam. If you're not going to submit the project, then this will tremendously affect your grade. So please prepare for this one conscientiously. Make sure that you research if there are things that you are not aware of. You can Google it or you can ask me. Sometimes while doing the project, that's when the most of the questions would arise. So it's either you Google it or you ask me, and I will be just 1 p.m. away. I think this is the last slide. So I hope you prepare. Now for the third quarter, you only have two activities. Quiz number 3 and the pre-finals, which I will be uploading this week. And then for the finals, you have a project, and this will be the project. The reason why I gave it early is because I would like you to prepare for this one. Prepare for this one so that you can submit quality projects, and then I can give you good scores or good grades there. Thank you very much for taking time to listen to my presentation. I hope you'd be able to do the project easily together with your group mates. If you're having troubles finding a group mate, please PM me and I will help you. Okay. Thank you very much and see you soon.